welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is your favorite show, Daily Calls, a show where we address your stock-related queries and you get a chance to ask those questions directly to top stock market experts. In case you're new to this show, I will tell you how you can really send us your stock-related queries. Well, you can send them on our WhatsApp number that's flashing on your screens. You do need to send in your name, your location, the question, followed by your contact number. Alternatively, you can also send us your queries on the comment section box on the YouTube channel where you're watching us this show on. Also, you can alternatively send in your queries on various social media platforms where our show is also telecast live. So on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and as well as on Instagram as well. Those are all the platforms wherein we can take in your queries. You can send in an audio format or video format or a text format, whatever you feel comfortable in. So do not waste any time. In case you're holding on to some stocks where you do not know what is the next step that you need to do, you just need to dial in and send us your questions. First up, let's start off with the top headlines we're tracking for this hour. Vodafone Idea 18,000 crore rupees FPO opens for subscription today. The company has raised 5,400 crores from anchor investors. Funds will be used for network expansion and spectrum payment deferral. Watch Business Today Television's exclusive interaction with Vodafone Idea CEO Akshay Mundra on the future plans of the company. Big earnings day today, starting from Infosys, Bajaj Auto, HDFC Life and ICICI Securities. These companies are all set to release their Q4 earnings on FY24. What do you expect? Stay tuned to Business Today TV to find out. Benchmark indices are bucking up in trade. Sensex is now up over 40 points in the green at 72,986. Even the Nifty has recovered in trade and trading near the high point of the day. 0.7% of an uptick can be seen on this one. 22,298 as the current level on the Nifty. Broader markets, autos, oil and gas, PSU banks trade in the green. Nestle under government scanner for adding sugar to baby food. The report noted that in India, where sales topped $250 million in 2022, all Cerelac baby cereals contain added sugar, averaging almost 3 grams per serving, despite the World Health Organization's guidelines prohibiting added sugar in baby food. Let's kickstart our discussion. Our top market expert for the day is Avinash Gorakshakar, Head of Research at Profit Mart Securities. Avinash, very good morning to you and thank you so much for taking the time out for this discussion. First up, the markets are recovering. How are you looking at the setup now after 3 days of massive sell-off? Are we looking at a sustained recovery?
Yeah, I think, first of all, good afternoon, Sakshi. I think my sense is, markets are going to be more stock specific now. We are in the midst of the earnings season, plus from the 19th of April, that is from tomorrow, the first, phase of elections start. So I think markets are going to be more stock specific. The index may see a lot of volatility. And I think two key points which investors should note is that the weakening rupee and the continuous selling of FIs is something which is a little matter of concern. So I think till the rupee doesn't stabilize, till we don't see FIs actually stopping their outflows, the markets will continue to remain volatile. But yes, stock specifically, there are going to be many opportunities.
Sure.
Once we get the quarterly numbers, the business commentary, and the rundown from the managements, we could see definitely some good positive stock movement. So I think it's better to keep a positive view on specific stocks and approach a stock specific view rather than looking at the broader market, because the markets are going to remain extremely volatile in the coming weeks.
All right, markets could be volatile, be stock specific. That's the word coming in. We'll shortly start taking up all the questions that we are getting for you, Avinash. But meanwhile, let me go across to my colleague Chetan Bhutani, who's been standing by amidst reports of the Nestle, company adding sugar to infant food in India. Sources have told Business Today Television that central government has now taken a suo motu cognizance of the matter and the investigation has begun. Chetan, give us more details on this exclusive news break. What is it that you're hearing as per the reports on the Nestle are concerned?
Well, Sakshi, over the night we saw an investigative report coming in from Swiss that, Nestle has been adding sugar to its baby food for nearly 3 countries, namely India, Brazil and African nations. And, the surprising part is that, the shocking part is that that UK and US markets, they're not adding sugar. So that means a deliberate attempt of misconduct and bad competition is, of course, being portrayed by Nestle. But eventually, my sources in the government have told me that yes, they have taken a suo motu cognizance. Nestle is under the government scanner for adding sugar to baby food, because remember, 3 grams of sugar per serving is being added as per the investigative report. But yes, as per the WHO's guidelines, not even a single gram of sugar is being should be allowed to be mixed in infant food. So clearly, what the government action would be next is, of course, that in the following ways, that the Ministry of Consumer Affairs will direct the Central Consumer Protection Authority, the CCPA, to in fact head the investigation through the DG investigation unit. They'll be calling some samples of Nestle food items for the infants throughout the country, and they'll be testing that. Alongside that, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and the Ministry of Consumer Affairs will be holding discussions, in fact, high-level discussions very soon, to understand what really and how does it impact India. And when I spoke to my sources, they told me that if the matter comes out to be in such a light, they will not shy away from summoning and calling on the Nestle officials to the central government authorities and asking them as to why such actions should not be taken and what repetitive steps should be taken in order to avoid such situations in the near future.
All right, Chetan, thanks a lot for all of those exclusive details. Many thanks for being with us. Well, important story, and this will be a developing story to track, perhaps the most important one in corporate India now as far as Nestle is concerned. Remember, in the past, the ghosts of the past have just got removed as far as Maggie controversy was concerned, but there's another one that is knocking at the doors of Nestle. Avinash, first to you, how are you looking at this grave concern? And even as you answer this, there's one query that's immediately come in on Nestle on our Facebook page, and this query is regards to Nestle's holding of 50 shares at the price of 26.53, and the message from our viewer from Facebook, he wants to know from you as to what should he do after today's sharp fall.
No, I think, Sakshi, I think if you remember last time when, Nestle was caught into the, Maggie kind of problem, the stock corrected significantly, but I think later on it bounced back quite, positively. So I think in the very near term, the reaction is going to be negative because this is a completely corporate governance issue. The company has not been following the proper measures as far as baby food Cerelac is concerned. So I think some corrective action will be taken, and I think the management will obviously, look at this very positively. They would be doing all sorts of, measures to ensure that this does not happen in future. In the short term, the stock may correct. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But in the longer term, I think such kind of companies, one should look at these kind of developments as, long-term positives to acquire such stocks at attractive levels. So I'm not really concerned about the long-term growth prospects of the company. In the near term, there could be a negative reaction, but I think this will be sorted out very soon. So I think the investor who's holding on to 50 shares should actually hold on to his nerves. I think he should not sell out in panic, because I think in the near term, maybe there could be a little bit of weakness, but in the longer term, things should get neutralized and things will be back to normal. So I think it's not such a bad thing that everything is over and the company is going to incur heavy losses. They will have to do some corrective action. There could be a small penalty on the company, possibly, but that doesn't, obviously disturb the traction for the company over the longer term. So I think continue to hold, but yes, keep a long-term time frame reward from this counter.
Okay, long-term framework still looks positive as far as Nestle is concerned. There could be some knee-jerk reaction. This question was by Aryan Mishra from Mumbai. Aryan, I hope you have got your query addressed as well. The next caller has sent in a video, a call to us, and we'll take the question. This is from Kaval Ghoshalia from Mumbai. Kaval, let's play out your video and let's see what is the question that Kaval has asked us.
Multi-bagger return. Hello everyone, my name is Kaval Gosalia and I am from Mumbai. My query is regarding a microcap company called Sumit Woods Limited. It's a real estate company based out of Mumbai. I'm currently holding 30,000 shares of Sumit Woods Limited. Can we have a multi-bagger return from here, say 8 to 10x in next 3 to 5 years? Would appreciate your opinion about it.
Sumit Woods Limited, 2% higher today at 73.3. I don't know, Avinash, if you track this stock, but if you do, there is high expectation that Kaval has from this stock. 8 to 10x kind of return is what he's hoping to get from this stock. What would your view be?
No, I think this is a small real estate player, and I think it went below the IPO price for some time. Now it started moving up again. See, I think the upside of the stock clearly depends on how fast their execution is, because in most of these real estate companies, execution is very important. So I would like to tell the investor that he can allocate a small amount, but obviously he has to monitor the execution of these projects very clearly, because I think in all these companies, if execution fails, then I think most of the upside can get neutralized. So I think keeping a small kind of exposure is always ideal. And obviously looking at monitoring the execution is very important, because these kind of companies hardly make any conference calls or communicate with investors. So there's very little information available on such companies. So I think you can take a small risk appetite on this counter and keep a time frame of at least 12 to 18 months. That could be a reasonable time frame to expect a decent risk reward. I mean, 8 to 10 times is something which I wouldn't like to comment, but if they execute their projects well, then I think the sky is the limit. But yes, you need to take a little more risk in such companies, because these are small companies where volatility is also extremely high.
Okay, hope that answers your question, Kavul. Let's take the next query. This is from New Delhi. KD Pradhan has called us live. Mr. Pradhan, good afternoon. कैसे हैं आप? बताइए, what's your question on?
My question is, which is the better script between Kalan Jeweler and Zomato for a long term?
For long term, Kalyan Jewelers or Zomato, you need to take a stock for the long term perspective. Varied sectors completely, but at this point in time, I think the question is whether to spend on food or whether to spend on gold at this point in time. What would you say, Avinash ji? Zomato or Kalyan Jewelers? A long term better pick.
No, I think my sense is, in terms of valuations, both stocks have actually shot up quite significantly. If you look at Kalyan Jewelers and if you look at Zomato, I think, probably if the investor would have invested a slightly earlier, he could made a decent amount in both these stocks. But my choice would go to Zomato, because Sakshi, clearly the food delivery market in India is a very large market, and there are just two players now operating. One is Swiggy, which is lined up to go public very soon, and Zomato is already public. And I think Blinkit has also now taken off very well. So if the investor has a viewpoint of at least next 2 to 3 years, then I think Zomato can be accumulated on every decline, because this is an opportunity where very little competition is present. And most importantly, now the company is making a lot of efforts to improve its cash flows, its operating EBITDA. So maybe in the next couple of years, you could see profitability coming at. And Zomato has been a favored stock with the institutional, the ultra HNI. So I think this would be a decent bet if the time frame is at least 2 years plus.
2 years plus के लिए अगर आपके पास टाइम है मिस्टर प्रधान, then go for Zomato. That's the advice going in for Zomato as of now. Let's take a lot of questions coming in on our YouTube channel also. Hi Arun, hi Amish. We'll be taking your questions now. Let me take Arun's question first with you, Avinash, and this is on CG Power. How is CG Power placed for long term? This is what Arun wants to know from you.
I think CG Power is now a company which is owned by the Murugappa Group, and I think they have done a commendable job in turning around the company. Recently, there have been some reports that this company is also going to get into semiconductors, some components which go into semiconductors, and I think in their current positioning, they are doing pretty well. So I would not be surprised that if the investor again has a long-term view, because this stock has jumped significantly in the last 2 years. Once the Murugappa Group took over, the stock was hardly in double digits, and today it trades at around 520, 530 odd levels. So prospects are definitely bright and encouraging, but the price at which you are entering, you need to give in at least a couple of years for your risk reward to come in, so that you can make a sufficient upside on the stock. So I think if you are interested in buying, keep a 2 year perspective and buy on every decline.
All right. Some more questions coming in on our YouTube channel. Swati is also written to us. Swati, just hold on. We'll be taking your question pretty shortly. First up, I'd like to take Amish Shah's question. This is on Punjab National Bank. He wants to know from you, is Punjab National Bank good for long term? Of course, this is a valid question, because we've actually seen a stupendous rally unfold for these PSU banks of late. But for the long term, should one continue to invest in?
Yeah, I think at the current level, again, this stock has multiplied from 40, 50 rupees or to roughly about 140, 150 now. So I would suggest that if the investor again has a 12 to 15 month horizon, banking as a sector should do extremely well. In fact, once the new government comes in place, the new budget is going to be announced. I think infrastructure as well as corporate capex is going to grow quite rapidly, and that is going to present a very big opportunity to all the banks, including PNB. Most of the asset quality issues, most of the balance sheet issues have now been sorted out, and I think in terms of the loan book growth, in terms of the positioning of the bank is aggressively now moving forward. So I think keep a time frame of at least 12 to 15 months. One could definitely make a decent risk reward, but I think at least a 12 to 15 month time frame, you need to be invested to get some recent risk reward.
Okay, keep a time frame of 12 to 15 months to get decent returns on PNB in case you're investing at this kind of current time. Let's now take up Swati's question. She's invested in Birlasoft, Avinash, at around 805 rupees. Swati, you also need to mention what is the quantity and the time frame that you're looking at for us and for the guest to really have a better perspective of what he should be answering on. But 805 on Birlasoft, she's asking, should she hold or sell at this point in time?
I think, see, most of the tier 2 IT companies, our sense is that, all these companies should do well, considering the fact that, their overall cost management, cost optimization is much better than the big IT boys. My sense is that, if the investor can hold on for at least the next 12 to 18 months, because IT sector as a whole is still facing considerable headwinds, especially from markets like Europe and US. Second half of FY25 could see a good bounce back. In fact, today we have got Infosys numbers, so we'll get some commentary from the management after the market. But my feeling is that Birlasoft has been a very decent player, very consistent in its performance, has a very good clientele. So I think keep a time frame of at least 12 to 18 months, and I think continue to hold. This is a good company, but once the sector tailwinds turn out positively, you'll see a good re-rating happening here.
Okay, you need to have patience with this one. We will need to wait for the sectoral tailwinds to start helping the IT sector recover, and then one can really hope for this company to continue to give you better set of returns. Swati, I hope that answers your question. The next caller is Paras Jain. He's calling in from Meerut. Good afternoon to you, Paras. What is the question?
I have 100 share of KPI and KPI Green Energy at 500 level. What to do now?
Okay, 100 shares at 500 rupees of KPI Green. Of course, everybody has been betting big on the power space, the renewable energy space. How would you really, and of course, this person is Paras, you're sitting on good amount of profits. I think the company is now trading at around 1700 odd levels, and 5% upper circuit can be even seen today. So substantial return is what you've already got. So congratulations on the kind of profits you're making. Avinash ji, what would you suggest to him?
No, I think, see, the kind of price he has invested, Sakshi, he's got a lot of margin of safety. So I would suggest that despite the fact that he holds just 100 shares, I would suggest that, he could dispose of, say, 25 shares and, make the rest 75 shares completely free of cost. That would actually mean a lot of sense at this point of time, because it's almost 3 times, his investment has increased. So I think at least book out some of your shares and hold on the shares for the next 12 to 18 months. Company has a very strong order book, and I think the best part for this company is it generates power from solar energy, and that is something which is extremely profitable. So that, I think, is going to be one of the biggest positives for this company. Most importantly, it's the largest player in that space, so clearly I think they should benefit over the next 12 to 18 months also. So I think it's a hold, but yes, I think at least 25% of your profits should be booked out so that your capital is recovered and the rest of the shares are completely free for you.
Okay, got that. I hope, Paras, that answers your query. Avinash ji, we'll take up some more questions, but in the meanwhile, we just want to play out for our viewers the exclusive interview excerpt with Vodafone Idea CEO. Remember, Vodafone Idea has launched its 18,000 crore rupees FPO today, and earlier I did speak with the management, that is the Vodafone Idea CEO, Mr. Akshay Mundra, to understand about what is the outlook on Vodafone, especially on the profitability factor. How long will it really take for the company to turn profitable, along with other details as to how the funds from the FPO will be used, what is the position on the debt right now, and what's the outlook on all of that front. Let's listen in to that excerpt.
I would only say that all throughout these very difficult times, we have always been cash EBITDA positive. So the company is generating cash. PAT will take a longer time to address, but the most important thing for this company is liquidity, cash flow, investments. And as I said, we have always been cash positive. So we are raising the funding to make the investments. The rest of the things will come from better performance.
So could you also share with us the key objective of the issue? What are the specific goals that Vodafone Idea is aiming to achieve through this fundraise?
So the total fundraise is 18,000 crores of the FPO, out of which 12,750 crores is for CAPEX, 2,175 crores is for spectrum, and the balance is for general corporate purposes. Now, out of the 12,750 crores of CAPEX, about 5,700 is for 5G, and the balance 7,000 is for 4G, which is a mix of expansion of coverage and capacity growth. Now, just want to be clear that this is not the entire funding or the entire CAPEX plan. This is a part of our overall funding plan, which also includes some contribution of 2,075 crores from promoters, which has also been approved and in the pipeline. And we are also in discussion with our lenders for providing us debt funding. So this is a part of the overall thing, but we are in the process of fixing up the rest of the funding to cover our growth CAPEX requirements in a comprehensive manner.
Okay. So could you also tell us what happens to the debt position after this fundraise? Are you going to be repaying a part of the debt?
So firstly, the funding, as I mentioned, is for growth CAPEX. So it has nothing to do with debt repayment. But let me tell you, we have repaid about 17,000 crores of bank debt over the last 2 years. And our bank debt as on end of February stands at less than 4,500 crores. So the bank debt has come down to a very low figure now compared to the overall size of the balance sheet. Our larger payment obligation towards the government is the larger obligation, which is something which we have to address. But from a bank debt perspective, it is at a very low level right now.
All right, so you can also watch the entire interview of Vodafone Idea CEO talking about what is the future hold for the company, how are they competing with, our rivals like Jio and Airtel with respect to 5G, all of those details on our YouTube channel, Business Today Television. Do not miss out this exclusive interaction. Avinash ji, on Vodafone, I want to understand from you the 18,000 crore rupees FPO, the largest, FPO of India so far. How do you really see this, especially with regards to retail investors portion that has a 35% reserve portion? Do you think it will sail through? And for all the viewers looking at the question whether they should participate or not, what would you advise? Is it a big opportunity or a big risk?
No, I think Sakshi, as far as the FPO is concerned, I think this issue will go through because a lot of marquee names have entered, the FPO. I think names like GQ Partners, then HDFC Bank, Fidelity. So, this issue will definitely go through. But, retail investors who are expecting a significant amount of gain purely from listing gains, I think one has to be very clear that in the short term, one cannot expect some big re-rating on the stock because I think the markets would obviously be looking at how quickly the company, obviously comes back into profits. It stops its customers, going to, competitors like Jio and Bharti, because that has been one of the biggest challenges for this company. Despite rising ARPUs, they have been losing a lot of subscribers to their competitors. So my sense is that, from a longer term perspective, yes, I think somebody who's got a 2 years plus kind of time frame in mind can definitely look at applying. But somebody who's only looking at a purely listing gain should at least avoid this issue because in the very near term, I don't expect any major fireworks on the counter. It would be a long time, only after which you could see a decent risk reward here. And obviously based on the performance and the execution post this FPO.
Okay, and the other query that we are getting related to Vodafone is, from Ananya Seni from Jabalpur. She holds 300 shares of Indus Towers at 189. She wants to know, should she book profits, especially after the recent run-up. Even today, the stock is up 5% odd, and it's been this buzz that has been pulling the stock higher. How would you really advise her?
No, I think Indus Towers is in a very sweet spot because they are one of the largest tower players in the country, and with 5G rollout going to happen quite significantly, this is one business which is going to be benefiting quite significantly because 5G rollout will require little more towers. Obviously, the largest players in Indus Towers, so that helps the company quite significantly over the next say 12 to 18 months. So I think despite the run up in the stock, I think the business is positioned quite well. They have been delivering also pretty solid numbers, and hopefully, I think their dues from Vodafone, if that also comes in, much better than what the street expects, that would obviously improve their cash flows further. So I would say it's a hold. I mean, don't make a hurry to book out because some more re-rating on the stock can be expected, possibly in the next 6 to 12 months.
Okay, got that. Well, thank you so much, Avinash ji, for being with us on this very special edition and sharing such wonderful insights across the markets and various stock queries that you took for our viewers as well. Many thanks for all of those insights. Thank you so much. Let's now look forward to another earnings conversation with respect to Tata Communications. That's going to be an important one to watch out for. Remember, the earnings came in, and as far as the interaction is concerned, we've also had Tata Group telecommunications firm Tata Communications, which reported Q4 results of FY24. The revenue has reached new milestone as the data has grown about 22%. The digital portfolio has witnessed a broad-based growth across all offerings. Board has recommended a dividend of 16.7 rupees per share, and Managing Editor of Business Today Television, Siddharth Zorabi, spoke to Tata Communications CEO and MD Amur S. Lakshmi Narayanan on the Q4 earnings. Let's listen in to the excerpt of this interview.
Q4 has been, and for the whole year, has been a very remarkable year for us in terms of our crossing the 20,000 crore mark is a major milestone for us. Our data revenue crossing the 17,000 crore and hitting the growth numbers that we have hit is truly phenomenal. We're very pleased about it. The other aspect is we have been investing in a lot of areas in the company to strengthen our platform, and we see in our engagement with our enterprises our relevance going up. So that is a key highlight for us. As far as margins are concerned, we are quite happy that the underlying core margins, which is if you take out the M&A related expenses and the consolidation of the two acquisitions that we did, which we knew that were not profitable, and we are turning them around. So if you exclude some of that, exclude the subsidiaries which we have called out before needed to be turned around, the core part of it, we're holding steady at the 23% mark. So that is very pleasing to see. We will be working on obviously all the other aspects of turning around acquisitions, integrating, driving more profitable growth in the future. But the foundation is being set very solidly.
All right, and you can watch the entire interview of Tata Communications on our platform Business Today Television to get insights on what the company hopes to achieve going forward from here. Meanwhile, we've now come to the end of this show. 163 points higher, 22,300 back with the Nifty right now. But in case you have a lot of queries as far as stocks are concerned, this is the show that we will address all your stock-related queries. Top stock market experts, registered SEBI advisors will be advising you the right advice as far as your stock holdings are concerned. So do not miss it. Monday to Friday, every noon, 12 p.m. is when this show gets telecast on our YouTube channel, Business Today Television. Along with it, you can watch its simulcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn as well. You can send us your queries on the WhatsApp number that's flashing on your screens. Do not forget to mention your name, your location, along with the question and your contact details when you're sending us your queries. You can dial in on this number. You can call us live. You can also send us your video messages as well if you feel comfortable, and we will be happy to incorporate them all on this special show, your favorite show, Daily Calls. Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today TV. I'm Sakshi Batra. Well, in what could be India's largest follow-on public offer of 18,000 crore rupees by Vodafone Idea, it's opening today for subscription. That's on April 18. The price band for the FPO has been fixed at 10 to 11 rupees, and investors will need to apply for a minimum bid of 1,298 shares and then in multiples. The company has already raised 5,400 crores from nearly 60 anchor investors. Joining in now to discuss more in detail about the FPO and the outlook going forward, Mr. Akshay Murdra, who is the CEO of Vodafone Idea, is joining in on the show with me. Very good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for taking the time out for this discussion. Now, this will be India's biggest FPO if successful.